This is a short story that I wrote quite a few years ago, and I used place names for the characters' names. And it's loosely based around a character from South Yorkshire called Don Valley, who was a musician. So I hope you enjoy it. Some years ago, I'd heard a story when I visited a friend in London, which seems to be about someone who had gone to London perhaps looking for fame, but had actually found something else. Or had he? This is about Don Valley himself. I was visiting my dear friend and musician Perry Vale. Perry has been the drummer in his band Perry Vale and the Rotherhides for over 20 years. The band consisted of Brent Cross and Earls Court, who were on guitars, and Ken and Sal Green, Ken on keyboards, and Sal was their vocalist. I've heard them on many occasions with their music mix of rock and country rock. I went along one night with Perry and the band to one of their upmarket gigs at a live music pub in Soho. Later during that night I mentioned the similarity in name between the Rotherhides and the Rotherhives. See, Don Valley's band had been the Rotherhides, and about the story of Don Valley. Perry mentioned that during a gig in Camden in the late 90s, they met a Don Valley, whom they all described as that northern guy who played a mean guitar and had a way with words and women. Perry remembered that this guy later turned out to be Don. He'd walked into a gig one night while they were playing, his guitar bag slung over his shoulder, a well-worn cowboy hat that was tilted to one side, and that flashy silver waistcoat that he wore beneath a rather faded leather jacket. After their spot, which was their first of two that evening, Don had introduced himself. Don admitted it was a similarity in the name that had attracted him to come and watch and listen to their gig. Over the next couple of years they met Don on many occasions, and often he would play with them at gigs in Camden, Rotherhide and Bethnal Green. However, Perry recalls it was around 2002 at one of their gigs in Soho that Don turned up with a young Australian girl. Well, at a guess, Perry thought she was probably in her early 20s, and her name was Alice Springs. Alice had been taken to Australia by her parents when she was around 6 months of age. They emigrated there in the 1980s, which supported Perry's view that she was in her early 20s. When Alice's parents were killed in a car accident, she found out that her parents, Mike and Sally Springs, had actually adopted her as a baby after a relative of Mike's was finding it hard to cope after the birth. The mother, Myrtle, had split with the father of the baby before she knew she was pregnant. He had been seeing someone else, and then all of a sudden he had just disappeared. Alice was staying with Australian friends in the Chelsea area. She had decided to return to the UK to try and trace her roots, to perhaps find her birth mother. Alice knew from the little information she had that her extended family came from the South Yorkshire area. Alice had explained to Perry that she had met Don some months previous, earlier in a pub in the King's Cross area where he was performing. When Don was speaking between numbers, she noticed he talked a lot about his South Yorkshire life, and especially South Yorkshire and Sheffield music influences. So Alice decided to befriend him so she could learn more about South Yorkshire. Before I returned home from my visit, Perry remarked that Don and Alice had not been seen for 4 or 5 years. However, Perry and all the members of the Rotherhithe band remarked, although there was some age difference in Don and Alice, there seemed to be this invisible bond between them. A couple of years later, I decided to visit my 2 lovely friends, Hazel Grove and Anne Coates, who then lived just outside Manchester. Hazel and Anne, until a couple of years previously, were a singing duo, appearing in the pubs and clubs around Lancashire. One night we went out to a pub in a very popular area of Manchester just off Piccadilly Street. This pub, until a few years ago, had been a live music venue, but now it was just karaoke evenings. Whilst in the pub, I noticed in one part of the pub that they had a board with old flyers and adverts from their live music days. And there, at the bottom left, was the name Don Valley, appearing there in late 2003. I asked Hazel and Anne, who had previously, as I said, performed gigs at this pub, if they had ever encountered Don Valley. Well, I was so pleased when they said they remembered him well, a great entertainer, but they remembered him more for the Australian girl Alice, who was always with him, occasionally accompanying him on stage. She had a good voice, they remarked. They did say that Don and Alice were only around for less than a year. However, Hazel and Anne remarked, as previously Perry and the Rotherhides had said, that there seemed to be this strong, invisible bond between Don and Alice, and that their relationship, well then, was purely friendship. Now, after all this, the question I ask is, did Don, over time through his friendship with Alice, notice any physical and other resemblance to someone from his past? Also, I have also wondered many times if Don and Alice ever did snake their way back over the Pennines, back to their Sheffield roots.